We got the unfortunate news today that club legend Gianluca Vialli had sadly passed away. The Chelsea manager slash player is an absolute legend and a diamond to the club, and we are very saddened by this news. But obviously, before I get into this man's accolades, I have to talk about his character and what I've heard people say about him. Everybody that you see talking about Gianluca Vialli, players, ex-teammates, etc., people that have just general, contact with the guy, people that knew him, they all unanimously say the same thing. He was a brilliant man with a massive heart, and you can see the emotion that they speak with, knowing that he sadly passed away. And that speaks massive levels of the man. Massive levels of the man. So rest in peace to Gianluca Vialli. Thank you for everything that you've done for Chelsea Football Club. Obviously, our thoughts are with his family at a difficult time. Man was a player at Chelsea Football Club. FA Cup winner as a player, League Cup winner as a player, Cup Winners' Cup as a player, then went on to manage us as well, 143 games, won the FA Cup, won the League Cup, won the Cup Winners' Cup, and won the Super Cup. So he was a winner for Chelsea Football Club before obviously Roman took over. We do get a lot of banter about, Russian money, this, that, and the other. But as you can see there, we did have a track record before Roman came, and unfortunately we have lost one of our legends today. So once again, rest in peace to the Chelsea legend Gianluca Vialli, man. What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni for another transfer video, and this one's going to be on Shakhtar Donetsk's Mykhailo Mudryk. And I know it's been news over the past few days that Chelsea are monitoring what's going on with the deal, and there's a very good reason as to why I decided to do a video on this particular player today. But obviously, before I get into the content, I've got to ask you to do these things. Help us get to 15k, so smash that subscribe button if you are new. We want to start the road to 20 soon. Also, smash the like button as well. Get us back up in the algorithm. And also, leave your thoughts down there in the comments. I like to read through them afterwards, like to gauge your thoughts on these sort of topics. So do that. It would mean a lot to me, people, and to the channel. Yeah, win-win for everybody. Let's get into today's story. We're going to talk about the 21-year-old Ukrainian winger that is playing over in the Ukrainian league for Shakhtar Donetsk, a club that is known for producing decent players. I mean, some off the top of my head, Fernandinho, the latest one really to be the biggest success to come out of there. Obviously joined Manchester City, you already know his story. Douglas Costa, a player that I really rated, but unfortunately for him, injuries absolutely destroyed him towards the end of his career. But he was a seriously talented player that I would have loved to see in at Chelsea Football Club. And obviously Willian, our very own, who rejected Spurs to join Chelsea, came from Shakhtar Donetsk. So this notion about the Ukrainian league being a farmers league, maybe it's not at the standards of several other leagues in Europe, but that doesn't mean that they don't produce decent players here and there. And given Shakhtar Donetsk's record, it's not the worst in the world, really, isn't it? But we're going to get back into it. 21-year-old Mykhailo Mudryk, exciting, fast, rapid winger, unpredictable, good with his feet, got great flair as well, man, and knows where the goal is. Apparently, these are the things that are being said about the player. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the ins and outs of the player, like I watch him week in, week out when I don't. But he is definitely being spoken about as one of Europe's brightest talents. And, to those of you that have been following the story closely, Mykhailo Mudryk, it has to be said, has been flicking his bum cheeks for Arsenal. He's been twerking for them hard. He really wants to join their club, and he's been doing it for months. And for me, it's kind of a weird one because, like, if I'm a Shakhtar owner, or if I'm the Shakhtar boss, I'm saying, listen, regardless of how good you are, man, like, come on, you're embarrassing the club doing all of this. You're going to have to sit down for a minute or at least give him some kind of fine or suspension because it's too much right about now. This guy's putting up pictures on his Instagram with his face behind bars saying, free me, let this transfer happen, etc., etc. But Shakhtar Donetsk are in a position where they don't have to sell. Yeah, they've got a long-term contract with the player. They hold the cards in this, and really and truly, regardless of what happens, they are the ultimate winners in all of this. Now, the reason why I've done this video is obviously after what happened last night in the Manchester City game, more injuries to add to the list. And if you look at just how extensive our injury list is in terms of first team players. I mean, take a look at this. 10 injuries to the first team. Raheem Sterling and Christian Pulisic are two wingers that went off yesterday, and that's the reason why I've done this video. Does that now put pressure on Chelsea to bring in a winger for this season? Because we are threadbare at this point. We are absolutely threadbare at this point, and the situation that we're in terms of league position and in terms of form, it can't really get any worse than this. So Chelsea looking like they have to act, but again, these are injury-prone wingers. Raheem Sterling, we know he didn't have the best injury record at Manchester City. Christian Pulisic, all of his career, he hasn't had the best injury record. So who's surprised that these things have happened? Now we're in a situation, not only do we need to sign another 2 midfielders, in my opinion, at bare minimal, we need cover for right back, and we now need a winger, which is why we're heavily being linked with Mykhailo Mudryk. But before we get into that, let's look at the rest of the injuries on this list. Mason Mount, N'Golo Kante, Edouard Mendy, Armando Broja, Ben Chilwell, Reece James and Wesley Fofana. We have taken an absolute beating in terms of injuries. Now, I don't know whether we need to have a look at the medical staff and say, listen, man, we might need to do a clear out over here, because this never used to be a problem at Chelsea. This is a problem that you would hear at Arsenal or other clubs, but now this is becoming so frequent at Chelsea. But is this a combination of Chelsea over the past few seasons over-relying on some of these players? Because outside of the usual suspects that are naturally injury-prone, your Christian Pulisic's and so on and so forth, your Wesley Fofana's and so on and so forth, Mason Mount, we've overused him. N'Golo Kante, we've overused him. Edouard Mendy's a goalkeeper, but injuries happen, I guess. Armando Broja, freak injury, unfortunately. Ben Chilwell, another player that we over-relied on, in my opinion. Reece James, another player that we over-relied on. So is it really the medical staff, or is it the recruitment that has failed us and that's put all this pressure on these players, which is why we've been left in the mess that we're in? I don't know, man, people. Let me know your thoughts. Darijo Srna, Mudryk's agent, was at the Chelsea versus Manchester City game, and it is very well known that he was there to talk to Chelsea to see what they're ready to offer Shakhtar Donetsk and obviously the player to come to Chelsea Football Club. And it was Chelsea's job to gauge whether a move could be possible, whether the player would be happy for a move. All things considered, like I said, the player has really been trying to angle for a move to Arsenal. He's been completely shameless about it. Ben Jacobs does great threads, as you know. The last transfer video I used one of his threads, but here's another one from him on Mykhailo Mudryk. Arsenal have more direct talks scheduled with Shakhtar on Mykhailo Mudryk, and Chelsea are meeting with Shakhtar representatives at Stamford Bridge. Mudryk wants the move. So that bit there has happened already. The agent has been at Stamford Bridge. That did happen last night. We're yet to know what has developed in those talks, but this is what's been. But Ben Jacobs also goes on to say, Arsenal's latest bid was under 70 million euros and in Shakhtar's eyes did not have a big enough guaranteed fee. But there will be verbal back and forth to discuss the structure ahead of a likely improved bid. Shakhtar are tough negotiators and will use Chelsea's interest and or offer as leverage. But Arsenal have never ideally wanted to go above 70 to 75 million euros. They point to Everton's failed 30 million euro bid over the summer and argue that their offer is already more than double. Shakhtar would have sold Mudryk for 45 million euros 5 months ago. That is absolutely crazy. Arsenal are not concerned by Chelsea hijack. If Chelsea do place a significant bigger offer, AFC won't get sucked into a bidding war because they have a top end valuation, and regardless of Chelsea, if they offer it and still fail, they will walk away. Arsenal believe Mudryk deal is in their control. Also important to note, Chelsea are not expected to just throw 100 million euros. Shakhtar's public valuation down. Any offer, and it will be clear in the next few days if one is coming, is likely to be broadly in keeping with AFC's own valuation. So what is key with the two suitors is not jumping to conclusions about any Chelsea move before Arsenal have engaged further with Shakhtar. This is a very atypical negotiation. Doing a deal with Shakhtar requires local knowledge and intermediaries. Chelsea are smart to meet face to face and lay their cards on the table, and it's within Shakhtar's interest to be seen at Stamford Bridge. A lot of games taking place, But I am told again, Arsenal is simply focused on their deal and valuation of Mudryk. Ben Jacobs has summarised the situation there about Mykhailo Mudryk, so if that's to be believed, and I don't really doubt a lot of what he's saying here. Obviously, Mudryk's first choice is Arsenal, and Arsenal feel relaxed about the situation. They have their valuation on him, which is between 70 and 75 million euros. They also have the added advantage that Arsenal is the player's first choice club. But I do agree with what was said on the final tweet of Ben Jacobs, where it says it was very important for his agent to be seen at Chelsea, because in terms of negotiation, that does wonders in terms of playing poker for the player and Shakhtar Donetsk, because just being seen there sitting next to Todd Boehly and being around Iqbali and all these guys, he can now go over to the Emirates and say, well, you lot and the world saw that I was over there with Chelsea. We had a healthy discussion. This is what they're willing to offer. Even if it is a slightly fabricated and overvalued offer than what was potentially agreed. If there was anything agreed, they can still go and say that, because how do Arsenal know? You get me? How do Arsenal know? So it's a very smart move by his agent. But this is what I'll say about it. Shakhtar know that potentially, if rumours are to be believed, we're willing to offer more than the 70 to 75 million euros that Arsenal are willing to offer, and they're not looking to go above a penny for this player. So if that's the case, Arsenal either have to raise this price or Shakhtar are going to come speaking to us. Now, here's the thing. Shakhtar hold all the cards because they have the long-term contract. He's a star player for them. They don't want to lose the player. So if he stays, it's a win for them. If he goes, it's still a win for them, because they're going to make insane profit on the player. What's crazy to me is that there were bids going in for this player for about 30 million euros. They were asking for 45 in the summer. Now it's gone close to 90 million. It's mad. This transfer window has gone, like, this transfer thing in football has gone mad. And this should show you where things have gone in football. It's gone absolutely crazy. I definitely think that there's more to this than what meets the eye. There will be twists and turns in this saga. Whether the player will even move in January, let's wait and see. But I do believe the injuries to Raheem Sterling and Pulisic could potentially be a game changer in this transfer, and we could see Chelsea go a little bit more aggressive the next time they have their talks with Shakhtar, because I highly doubt that this is over. Obviously, Arsenal have their valuation they're not willing to go above. If rumours are to be believed, apparently Chelsea are willing to go above that valuation to try and get the player. But really, it's down to the player. He looks like he wants Arsenal. He's been twerking for Arsenal. He's been doing the absolute most shameless stuff. But that doesn't mean it's Arsenal or nothing. I guarantee you, if we outbid Arsenal, if we give him the wages he's asking for, he's going to be a Chelsea player, because it's either that or he stays at Shakhtar and misses out the opportunity of a lifetime, which I highly doubt he's going to want to do that. Yeah. As a professional football player, you take opportunities as they come. If that Arsenal chance is out the window, then it's out the window. He's going to have to move on to the next one. And whether it be their rivals or not, it doesn't matter. That's just how football works. So, people, let me know your thoughts on this transfer. Is Mykhailo Mudryk a winger you would like to see at Chelsea Football Club? To those of you that may know a little bit more about the player, please educate me down there in the comments. I would love to know. I don't know what my judgment is on the player, but I don't want to be unfair just because he plays for Shakhtar to completely rule him out. But it's like I said, I refuse to get carried away or even excited about the player, because I still strongly believe that Arsenal are in the driving seat and they'll probably end up with the player and potentially as well as João Felix. And that would be a very scary window. They're already sitting at the top of the table. And if they strengthen with those two players, it's going to be a mad thing. And that puts pressure on the rest of us. So please, Chelsea, don't mess up any more transfers. And please, Chelsea, don't give up on the Enzo Fernandez deal. But people, thank you very much. Smash that subscribe button if you are new. Smash that like button as well. Smash the notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. All of that good stuff, people. As usual, up the Chelsea. Bless up.